The night hung heavy with shadows as I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white against the leather. The road stretched out before me, a desolate ribbon of asphalt cutting through the dense forest. Rain pounded relentlessly on the windshield, and the wind howled like a banshee in the night. I should have turned back hours ago, but stubbornness and a twisted sense of adventure had kept me on this forsaken road. It had all started as a dare at the local tavern, where my friends and I had gathered for a night of drinking and storytelling. The rain was already coming down hard when we heard the legend of Hollowwood Forest. The tale was dark and twisted, a story of a ghostly hitchhiker who lured unsuspecting travelers to their doom. My friends had laughed it off as a drunken yarn, but I couldn't resist the challenge. I had fueled up my car and embarked on the journey alone, determined to prove the legend false. The forest loomed ahead, an impenetrable wall of trees that seemed to swallow the feeble glow of my headlights. The rain had only worsened as I delved deeper into the abyss, the windshield wipers working overtime to keep up with the downpour. My phone had long lost its signal, leaving me isolated and vulnerable in the heart of Hollowwood. The silence inside the car was oppressive, broken only by the sound of raindrops pelting the roof. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes following my every move. The road twisted and turned, leading me deeper into the heart of the forest, away from civilization and closer to the legend. As the minutes turned into hours, I began to doubt my decision. The forest seemed to go on forever, the trees like skeletal fingers reaching out to grab me. My headlights revealed glimpses of something moving in the shadows, something that slithered and crawled, but whenever I turned to look, it was gone. A sudden chill crept through the car, and I realized that the heater had stopped working. I cursed under my breath, the cold seeping into my bones. It was then that I saw her, a woman standing on the side of the road, drenched in rain, her clothes clinging to her like a shroud. She held out her thumb, the universal sign of a hitchhiker in distress. I hesitated, my heart pounding in my chest. The legend flashed in my mind, warning me of the ghostly hitchhiker who haunted these woods. But the woman looked so helpless, so vulnerable in the pouring rain. Against my better judgment, I pulled over and rolled down the window. "Need a ride?" I asked, my voice shaky. She nodded, her face hidden beneath a curtain of wet hair. Without a word, she climbed into the backseat, her presence sending shivers down my spine. Her clothes were torn and tattered, and her skin was as pale as death. "Where are you headed?" I asked, trying to ignore the sinking feeling in my gut. She didn't answer, only stared out the window with empty, lifeless eyes. I turned my attention back to the road, my knuckles once again tightening around the steering wheel. The forest seemed to close in around us, the trees pressing closer and closer, like they were trying to trap us. I stole a glance in the rearview mirror, and my heart stopped. The woman was gone. The backseat was empty, as if she had never been there. Panic clawed at my throat as I scanned the road ahead, but there was no sign of her. Had she simply vanished into thin air? Just as I was about to slam on the brakes and get out of the car, I heard a soft, haunting whisper in my ear. "You shouldn't have picked me up." I swerved the car, nearly losing control. And as I looked in the rearview mirror again, there she was, sitting in the backseat, her eyes fixed on me with an otherworldly gaze. My heart raced as I struggled to regain control of the car. The road seemed to twist and contort, becoming a nightmarish labyrinth. I couldn't tell if I was going in the right direction anymore, and the rain had turned into a torrential downpour, making visibility nearly impossible. The woman in the backseat began to speak in a low, mournful voice, recounting stories of lost souls and tragic deaths that had occurred in Hollowwood Forest. Her words filled me with dread, and I knew then that I had made a terrible mistake. I begged her to leave, to let me go, but she only laughed, a sound that sent chills down my spine. The car's headlights flickered, and the engine sputtered as if it were about to die. I knew I had to get out of there, to escape this nightmare. In a desperate bid for freedom, I slammed my foot on the gas pedal, and the car shot forward, hurtling through the darkness at a breakneck speed. The road seemed to stretch on forever, and I couldn't see what was ahead. But I couldn't stop, I couldn't slow down. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the rain stopped, and the forest gave way to an open field. The car screeched to a halt, and I found myself on the edge of a cliff overlooking a yawning abyss. I had no choice but to slam on the brakes, the tires skidding to a stop just inches from the precipice. I sat there, trembling and gasping for breath, as I realized how close I had come to driving off the edge. The woman in the backseat was gone, and the car's engine had fallen silent. I was alone in the darkness, on the edge of a cliff, with the haunting memories of Hollowwood Forest etched into my soul. I turned the car around and retraced my steps, eager to escape the cursed woods. As I drove back through the forest, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was still being watched, that the ghostly hitchhiker was still out there, waiting for her next victim. To this day, I can't forget the horrors of that night, and I can't escape the feeling that something followed me out of Hollowwood Forest, something that will forever haunt my dreams and my waking hours. Driving at night had gone horribly wrong, and I had learned the hard way that some legends are best left untested, some roads best left untraveled, and some secrets best left buried in the dark depths of the forest.